All right, so hi everybody. I want to welcome you to Jen's Pen, where we find interesting people who are making the world a better place, and we ask them to share their story. Today, we are talking to Arjan Erkel. Arjan was on a relief mission to help refugees with Doctors Without Borders in 2002 when he was kidnapped. He was held for 15 months in unfathomable conditions until his release. Now he's a public speaker going around the world teaching people about self-reflection, courage, self-esteem, and building rapport. Welcome, Arjan.
Thank you, Jen. Nice to see you here. I'm in the Netherlands and you're in Boston, so
it's nice to have a long-distance connection.
Yes, true.
It's amazing what the internet does these days. I'm still an old person when it comes to that. But we're here to talk about you. Please, I want to let you go. Tell us your story.
Yeah, you want to interview me or I'll just start?
Well, tell us about your background.
Yeah, I'm an anthropologist. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm 51 years old now. And as a student, I started to work for Doctors Without Borders, and I liked it so much that I thought, yeah, I want to make a career out of it. And then I worked in Uganda, Sierra Leone, Dagestan, Uzbekistan, in countries I've never heard of. But when I was there, I enjoyed it very much. I learned to speak Russian, which was also important. And then they asked me to become a head of mission in Russia, and I was 32 at that time. And it was for me a big career step because
that's
first
huge.
time head of mission, the biggest country in the world, but with the biggest conflict in the, not the biggest, but the most difficult conflict in Chechnya.
In Chechnya, right.
Yeah, with Chechen rebels, Muslim rebels, the same like Taliban or ISIS, but then already in the 90s. And not only helping people, but also the danger of being part of the conflict or maybe kidnapped. And of course, I thought, we'll take some preparations. We have all kinds of security regulations. Maybe they will even respect our work and not touch us. But then, on the 12th of August, 2002, they stopped our car. And me and the driver were driving there, and I was in shock. I just stood up. I handed myself in, but they beat me up completely, and that was the beginning of my kidnapping. They put me in the car. I got a gun on my head, got a gun on my chest, and then
that's how it started.
Yeah, that's how it started, and of course I was not going to know when it would end, how it would end, because people might be murdered, I might be murdered. So there was all, it was all a big change, let's call it that way. And of course, I felt pain, I felt misery. It was actually 20 months.
20 months. I'm sorry about that.
No,
20 months.
and it's a long story, but let's have a conversation about it.
Yes, so when you first started, the whole thing first started, I mean, there must have been a million things going through your mind. Did you have any training? Was there any training?
Yeah, we had a little bit of training one Friday afternoon about how to behave. So don't be a hero, don't get shot, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion. Try not to panic. And of course, when you have this training, you think, what does it mean? Don't panic. But in the car, I told myself, don't panic. And one of the things you learn is make contact with your kidnappers. And of course, I felt like crying. I felt like begging for my life, but I knew it was a macho culture there in the southern part of Russia. So I didn't want to be the soft one. So lots of sentences went through my head, and I chose the one, let me live, or I want to live. So not a question, not something. And in Russian, so I told them, "Жить хочу," and they said if I would behave, they would behave. And then, of course, lots of things go through. Went through my mind. For example, one guy he did a little bit of. Sometimes you have this cloth in your car that you want to clean the window sheets, and he put it on my head because I was bleeding. It was really running through my face. And then I thought, wow, that's already a humane gesture. But then he said, no, otherwise my car will be dirty. So, this kind of, I had to get used to, okay, don't make any assumptions, be clear about everything you communicate about, because otherwise it might be ending up into my death. So of course, lots of violence, lots of fear, lots of intimidation, but yeah, I wanted to live. So I think, yeah, all kind of survival mechanisms started to pop up and behave, be calm, don't do stupid things, tell them what I was going to do so that they were not surprised. And it took 20 months. So in the beginning, of course, I had to, yeah, how to say it, to get a connection with them. But in a week, they handed me over to another group. And things like losing your freedom. We talk about losing our freedom with COVID, and we have lockdowns. But of course, my lockdown was a bit more extreme.
It's a different, yeah, slightly different,
Yes.
slightly different scale.
Yeah, but it made it easier for me, the present lockdown. But
Everything must be easier after something like that.
Yeah, that's true. It makes it's a long story, but I'll tell you later. But I got so much self-esteem, I think, because I stood up for myself. Well, people were trying to make me little. I changed a lot of things. I saw lots of possibilities. So in normal life, I can also look back to my it was a really way of pressure cooking school, the school of life, and that of course I would have missed it. Not would have missed it. Sometimes people ask, did you want to miss it?
Yeah, would you change it if you could?
Yeah, and of course I would change it.
Yeah. Yes.
But now I've made it through that dark period of my life. I've seen death in my eyes. But freedom is so important, and that's my mission. So many people live in a sort of a hostage situation. It could be financial, or in a bad relationship, or you tell yourself, I'm not good enough to do this, or I can't start this. And if you find the freedom in your mind, at least, and then also into your actions, there can be so many things happening, and
So
it can improve our lives, but also the life of other people.
So true. So take us back. So after the first week, you were handed off to a different group.
Yes. So the first week was like going to the toilet without people standing behind me. I couldn't wash. I couldn't brush my teeth. I had to scratch the dirt off my teeth. And they said, because there's no water, we didn't want to kidnap you. And so they handed me over to a group of real radical Muslims with masks, with Kalashnikovs, with uniforms. And they took me high up in the mountain, and there I had to stay in their room, because they also said, we didn't expect you yet. We don't have a room for you. The next day they started digging a hole. Can you imagine how scared I was? Like, wow, those guys are digging a hole, and they say, it's going to be your room. But of course I thought it's going to be my grave. Right. So I had to find trust in them, but of course I didn't trust them. They didn't trust me. They thought I was a special agent, that I could escape any moment. So we had all kind of conversations about ransom, how much money they want to earn. I told them it's way too much. They wanted to have $12 million. I said, it's way too much. Then they asked me, how much should we ask for you? Imagine what did you say?
Put a number on my life, put a number of dollars on my life that I think people are willing to pay. I can't even imagine trying to estimate that number.
No, I was thinking, if I say $10,000, maybe they will cut my throat right away, because I'm useless.
It's not worth it, right?
Yeah, and then I was, what's the turnover of Doctors Without Borders? So I was, then 10% unforeseen costs, or how you call them. So right. I told them, I'll make it 1 million. They were not happy with it, but they lowered it till 5, which sounded more reasonable. But these kind of conversations, it's scary. They ask, for example, maybe radical Muslims don't like homosexual people. And then one of the first questions, because I'm from the Netherlands, and we have a bit of a more free sexual morale, or at least that's what people think. So they asked me, do you have homosexual friends? And one of my friends, he's a homosexual guy. So I was like, oh my God, what do they want to hear? They want to hear that I don't have any friends. But should I betray my friends? Should I betray myself? If I start lying, I have to remember all the little lies I'm making. But it's also, I have to stand up for myself. But I was too scared, because it was really the first day, and they were pointing their Kalashnikovs at me. So I told them, no, I don't have any sexual friends. And then they said, that's good. We want to make you a Muslim. But I said, no, never, ever. am I going to change my religion? I was raised as a Christian, under pressure. And by the way, I lied. I have one friend, he's a homosexual guy. And then they said, yeah, actually that, I think, helped me so much to gain their respect, because they were also fighting for their religion. And I stood up for my religion. And of course, it didn't become easy from that moment, but I think that changed something in their mindset.
Okay.
And also, they asked me, how was it to be kidnapped? And can you tell us what happened? And to me, it looked a bit like Pulp Fiction. Do you remember the movie with the
Yes, yes.
I was in the back seat of the car, and they put this gun on my temple. And I had to think about the scene that John Travolta by accident shoots the brain all over the car.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's in your head at that moment.
Yeah, because it would be such a, how you call it, tragical incident if I die without any reason. And I was, of course, scared to death. And so I told the boss of the second group, it looked a bit like Pulp Fiction. And he said, aren't you from the Netherlands? It's my favorite movie. Don't you eat French fries with mayonnaise? Because that's also a scene in that movie.
Right.
So the beginning in the new group was so much better than I expected, because I expected to be, at least to be tortured, maybe to be raped, maybe to lose my ears. But we could just talk about Pulp Fiction. And he said, okay, if you behave, we can, maybe thinking about buying mayonnaise for you. So, but of course, when they started digging and then, they locked me up in a room. That's not a room, but I started to call it my room. It was only 6 feet by 5 feet under the ground.
So you could you even lay down? I mean, barely, right?
No, I couldn't stand up straight, but they made me a bed. But that was really, I just have to close my eyes and I see this surrounding. It's like a grave, which is already dug for me, but they just have to close it. And then,
oh my God.
and there were insects, but just the misery and being alone, not knowing what's going to happen, who's going to pay, are they going to pay, is my company loyal to me,
right?
How are my parents, will they get a heart attack when they will hear the news about my kidnapping? So these kind of things make it, because they pop up any moment. I try to stay calm, I try to stay stable in my mind, but of course so many thoughts from everywhere. And that was the disappointment. Sometimes they said, we're going to get money soon, and then they didn't get any money, and I thought, maybe it's true, maybe I will go home soon. So these kind of things made it even worse. And of course, food, cold, no water, no love, no warmth from any person.
Right?
That was, it's I can talk about it easily now, but I cried so much there.
Oh my God.
I was so much injustice done to me. But anyway, I can tell about that also. It's not, I'm not ashamed for it. Celebrating birthdays on my own, or Christmas, and thinking about the nice dinner at home, and I had a piece of meat that you wouldn't even feed to the dogs. But at the end, I had to change the situation in my mind. Like, I'm going to make the best out of this situation. I'm going to make contact. I will get some more privileges. And at the end, I will survive. I go home and I will start working again. And the pride of winning, I will win. My parents expect me to come home. They will do everything to get me out. So I can be the loser here. I didn't want to be the loser. And
right.
It took some time, but I got books at the end. Sometimes they allowed me to watch TV with the guys. After I think 7 months, they sometimes even allowed me to cook together with them. So, but of course, I always had to go back to my room. But it became bearable. I think I'm most proud of the way I, like you called it, I built rapport with those people, and we started to appreciate each other, and sometimes even a little bit of respect.
That is, I mean, I can't even imagine trying to be friendly Or obviously you have to, but someone who's taken so much from you and causing you this all this sort of pain, and you can still talk to them and like people.
Yeah, of course, that was a difficult thing from in the beginning, because I didn't know them. I hated them for
Right.
what they were doing to me, but also to my parents. It's the
Right.
worst thing for my parents. But then I realized I have to. I'm an anthropologist, so someone who naturally should be a bit curious
Yeah.
about other people, and so I started to think, okay, maybe I should be asking them, why did you radicalize? What do you want? What are your goals, and how are you going to achieve them? And of course, in the beginning, it was functional conversations, but at the end, or not at the end, but after some time, some of the guys, they were friendly, some of the guys were normal. They started asking questions, to me. So I think we created a sort of microcosmos where we could at least freely talk about each other. I could say something about the way they behaved. I gave them feedback about things they did to me which I didn't appreciate, like yelling or commending. So I told them, please talk normally to me. I'm not a child, I understand the rules. I asked for toothpaste, which was also scary the first day. I didn't brush my teeth for 8 days. So I asked them, I was thinking this question in my mind, like, shall I ask for toothpaste and a toothbrush?
Right.
But maybe they will beat me up, and then they will say, you don't need toothpaste. And those things, you always have those two, I don't know if you know, sometimes
Right.
you have those voices like, shall I do
Oh
it?
yeah.
Yeah. And then, but if I don't ask for toothpaste, they will also start falling out.
Right.
Yeah. So then I said, okay, hey guys, can I have some toothpaste and toothbrush? And he said, which brand do you want? And I always use Aqua Fresh. I don't know if you know it. And so they brought me, actually, the next day they brought me this toothpaste, and they were also curious, like, hey, this guy is from the West, maybe he knows what's good for himself. So one of the guys asked, can I use your toothpaste? I said, of course, why not? And he started brushing behind his mask, and he said, it's such a nice brand. I'm going to ask my boss to buy it for us as well. So these were little hooks for me to see them as human beings as well, because I think if you dehumanize each other, like we sometimes do now with all the polarization in the world, like we are either sticking too much to our own identity, or we look at each other like in color or in identity. But if we see each other as people, it makes the world much nicer. And then we really forget about skin or sexual orientation. It's just a human being. I think sometimes we're like in our microcosmos. In the beginning, we were so much talking about identity, about religion, that of course there's no common, how you call it?
Right. Common ground, right?
And
but everybody brushes their teeth.
For example, and everyone wants to take a shower, everyone has to go to the toilet, everyone likes food. So talk about these things first as the oil, or how you call it, and the grease, and later start talking about bigger issues. And that's how I manage. Of course, I had so much time to think, what should I do different? So the self-reflection, because of course with some of the guys it worked, my policy or my way of acting. With some of the others it didn't. So I had to think, okay, why does it work with this guy? How come it doesn't work with the other one? And then I had to change my behavior. But sometimes I think we don't take enough time to get to know each other. I had the time. I didn't have any, and it was my goal.
Wow.
And of course, finding out your own strength. For example, I wanted to stay fit, so I did all kind of push-ups, sit-ups. Then I thought, I had a very nice girlfriend. I thought, she will be proud if I come home and if I'm still strong, and if I have suddenly have the killer body, because I had plenty of time. So this you can visualize, of course, how things will end. even the guy said, yeah, you should be happy that you're kidnapped. I said, why? Yeah, because you look so much more athletic than from the moment.
Oh my gosh.
But it's true. Sometimes, even now with the lockdown we had, you can still see the good things. If you only start empathizing the bad things, yeah, of course you will have a horrible time. So that's what I learned also. Try to, of course, you can be a victim because sometimes bad things happen in your life. You're allowed to be aggressive. You're allowed to be angry, but it shouldn't. You should still be in control. So take back the control. Let yourself explode for any reason. It's okay, because angriness is or sadness is also an engine for change. But at the end, you should be your brain or your feeling or your, I don't know, intuition should be the boss, not the wrong emotion.
Right, not the anger, not like that's not the place to act from. Wow.
Yeah, sorry for talking so much.
That's the point. The point is, I want you to talk a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what you want to hear. Of course, I made it, and I always say that. Of course, I would never have asked for it to happen, but now that it happened, it also enriched my life, of course.
Right.
Like I said in the beginning, I know what it is to be disciplined, to get my goals. I know what it is to be focused. I know what it is to make contact. I know what it is to persevere, or how you call it, endurance in my life. So
persevere,
yeah, and so of course I don't use it every day, but at least I can find the power from within, like some of those coaches or gurus call it, unlock your potential, or unlock
you actually did.
Yeah, and I believe that at least we can at least try. And maybe not everyone can unleash it, but if you don't try, you don't know. And so with my example, I try to be a catalyst for other people, that they also, if they think about a change, or if they think about something they want to do different, that at least they should give it a try, because only thinking is not enough. That's why I had the freedom to act. We have possibilities. We have ideas. We have people to support us. And when I came back, there were so many people who supported me. I was so grateful for everything they've done, and I can never thank them enough. But my personal life coach, he said, you don't have to thank them all, because most of the people did it with unconditional love. So they're not waiting for you to come by and say, thank you so much. But for me, it felt like a pressure on my shoulders, because it's a big thing if people.
It's a big thing,
if they they saved my life. The Dutch Prime Minister and the foreign minister, they're not allowed to pay.
Tell us how it happened that you were released. You were held for 20 months.
Yeah, for 20 months.
Sometimes like by yourself, just complete isolation.
Yeah, in this room, but luckily every now and then they took me out to go to the toilet, at least in the beginning. There was something to look forward to. Then once a week I could take a shower, with a bucket of water, and then later, when they started to trust me, they took me out 30 minutes by night. But the last 8 months they didn't do it anymore, because we moved to another place. And the movement, that was always scary, because they put me in the trunk of a car. Then, of course, they said, we're not going to kill you, but who knows, maybe.
Who knows, right?
And then, but the good thing that I always could take, like, my toothpaste and toothbrush or deodorant, and I had a bottle as a toilet, so they always gave me a bottle to pee. But then the last time they said, now we're going to hand you over to a new group after 20 months. So I felt comfortable with them. I trusted them more or less, but I knew at least what to expect. And then they said, no, you don't have to take anything. And I'm like, where are we going here? To a new group, and they have everything. We will tell you how we behaved, and behave the same way like you did with us. But I was like thinking, okay, it could be the end.
Right.
But luckily they opened the trunk, and I saw two faces without the mask. So I really saw two faces, and they looked even worse than the worst Italian mafiosi in any movie. And I was like, wow, what's going to happen? They will kill me because they're not afraid to show their faces. But they said, "Hey, welcome home." I said, "What do you mean?" "Yeah, we made sure you got out. We freed you." I said, "Is it true?" Because I didn't believe them. I thought they were making fun of me. But then a Dutch guy from the embassy called on their telephone, and I was like, "Is it true?" He said, "Yeah, we're going to send a plane and we'll pick you up in a couple of hours." It was Easter, so for me it was fantastic. It was like the resurrection.
Yeah,
For
resurrection,
rebirth.
exactly.
And then because I was also held under the ground, of course I wasn't dead, but it felt like I got my way back again.
Rising from the tomb.
Yeah, definitely. And then I wasn't allowed to call my parents. But then we flew to Moscow. It was like 2 hours flight, and the ambassador was there, and I hugged him, and he was like this diplomat, not showing any emotion. But then suddenly he also hugged me, and that was okay. Then I started to believe. Okay, I made it. I called my parents. It was so nice to hear my mother, my father, and then my father said, "Yeah, we're taking a plane together, with a government plane." They picked me up. And I said to the embassy, "Can I sit in a room alone so that I can be on my own if I see my father?" Which was, yeah. So I was looking at the door like, when is he coming? When is he coming? And then he came in, and yeah, we hugged, and yeah, we cried out of happiness. And yeah, he thought, yeah, he was worried that I would be crazy, of course, or yeah, and I was also worried. But we saw each other, and then when I was flying home. And I still remember I wanted to kiss the Dutch floor or the ground, or the earth.
Right, the ground.
Yeah, the ground. And then it was a small plane, so there was only the stairs.
Okay.
And the door opened, and I saw my mother, and that was also so beautiful. Yeah, normally if you do like this, stretch your hands, it's the same size as your body.
Yeah.
But I think her arms were twice the size, and she hugged me, and just the smile on her face. Like, yeah, this sincere happiness, like my son is back, and yeah,
That must have been like the most amazing thing.
Yeah, she was just happy, and she forgot the past, and she never talked about it. She never complained about anything. Her family was complete again. And yeah, of course, I love my father, I love my mother as much as they do, but this yeah, I think for a mother it's the worst, of course, if a child.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I became so famous in the Netherlands because I think, yeah, so that lots of people just helped me by giving support, like, "Hey, great to see you. Do you want to have a free beer or a free meal in a restaurant?" So that was really nice, and yeah, I never thought about it, but yeah, it's nice if you get support from friends and family, of course, but also if you get support from people you don't know, and yeah, that's what I'm trying to say about the Dutch minister and prime minister, that they also risk their jobs by paying for me. The guys who went out to the bush to pay, actually with a suitcase with money, they also risk their life for me, and yeah, so I still have of course he's not the prime minister anymore, but I still have his number. Sometimes I call him, and he said, "Hey, how are you doing?" Even the Queen wrote a message. So these kind of things, that they're cool, because yeah, otherwise I would have never. Of course, it's a bit of a hard and difficult way to get attention.
But you got some.
yeah, but no, I'm yeah. Like lots of people are victims or they have pain, and I always say, share it, tell about it, because otherwise people don't know and they can't help you or they can't be nice to you. And my mental coach or life coach, he said, yeah, just enjoy the attention, because don't care for other people, let them take care of you.
Take care of you,
yeah, because you missed attention, you missed nice food, you missed everything, and don't cook for them, don't invite them to your house, just I don't know the word in English, but not be like taking the profit out of it, but enjoy it.
Enjoy it, yeah. Take advantage in a good way.
A little bit, in a good way, yeah.
So
those two lessons were very important.
That's amazing. So there were people, not just your friends and family, but there were many people you didn't know, who knew about you, supported you, but also worked to get you out. What did they do to get you out?
Yeah, no, like colleagues, of course, they tried to negotiate, they tried to find out where I was. And yeah, journalists writing about me, diving into my situation, keeping attention on my case. Then, of course, all kind of people involved with kidnap situation. They called my parents. They offered their help. Dutch football players, if they had a press conference, they would mention my case. So these kind of things, all kind of athletes helping me. So for no reason, but also children, tens of thousands of children, they made drawings. They sent, like at my parents' home, there's boxes full of of nice paintings. So even when I came home, I don't know, I'm 51, so we're sending each other postcards for Christmas or Valentine's days, and with my friends at school, we were always bragging who has the most postcards, and that we were the postman had to carry all those bags full of but now in my house there were really like 4 bags of mail from people which I didn't even know. Some were just a stamp and my name, and they arrived. So it was so nice that even the mailman who doesn't know where I live, so he had to find out and deliver the mail. So these kind of things, the small happiness, it also helped me to re-socialize.
Right. That could have been an even rockier transition, coming back into society after something like that. I mean, there must have been so much psychological damage, I mean physical damage too, but like you obviously survived it in such an amazing way. You figured it out. You figured out how to build rapport with people and how to keep your mindset positive, just knowing that you were gonna, I mean, I'm sure there were moments of doubt, but knowing that you were going to be released in your heart so you could behave that way. But still, I mean, coming back into society, that must have been a really difficult transition.
Not
no.
Of course,
good,
but no, because if you come from hell back to heaven, at least that's how I felt it.
Yeah.
Of course, there's some difficulties. What kind of work shall I do? Or I want to buy white paint, but there's so many of the choices, because I didn't have choices, paint. And now there were so many choices. But it was peanuts compared to all the bad things I experienced there. And luckily, I never had any nightmares. It also helped that I told myself I'm not going to be taken hostage by the thoughts about my hostage situation. So I want to move on. Of course, I talk about it a lot during my motivational speeches, but at home or with friends or family, I'm not Uncle Arjan who talks about his
right. Of course, he's just Uncle Arjan.
And that everyone is boring, but it makes me stronger, really, and this strength. I think, of course, not everyone has the same strength, but at least if you try, sometimes in life, things go wrong, failure is part of it, but be resilient, be strong. Sometimes a little bit of suffering, if you know how to deal with it. Of course, we don't want to suffer, and I also try not to suffer, but we can't escape it. Sometimes we want to make our life so beautiful that we're so in distress when things go wrong. Like Facebook, Instagram, we always show how good we are, how beautiful the world is. But
right.
It's not like that.
False pretense in front of the world.
And this, looking into possibilities. That's and dare to express yourself, dare to be friendly to others, use the freedom to make new plans, to make changes, to get rid of all the things in life that don't fit anymore. And sometimes we have to say farewell to friends, to family, to work.
So that's a good segue into what you're doing now. You mentioned that you're a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Oh yeah, yeah, you know what they are doing. So
Well,
you're
yes.
trying to activate people, and yeah, with my message about resilience, but also about trying to keep your inner freedom, to protect it, but also to make it bigger and bigger. That instead of thinking about plans, that you, yeah, really make the transition from planning into action, and that, yeah, you can do so much more, but that you should be able to stretch your comfort zone. And lots of people say you have to get out of your comfort zone, but I always say stretch it. So you can still stay with yourself, but safe, what feels good for you. But if you stretch it bit by bit, it also gives you a new life.
Right.
Yeah, so many people dream about things, but then they don't even start. So more dreams are killed by not even starting than by
inaction,
failure.
right?
Yeah, and of course, lots of people talk about it, but I use freedom as my basic point and a unique selling point, because I really think that's the basic. If you have freedom, then you can trust people, you can start things, you can fall down, you can build yourself up again as the engine for change, innovation, and prosperity. That's where I believe in. And then
You just
so
said something really interesting a minute ago about like not being captive to your thoughts, and that's kind of an interesting thought for me. It's not something I really had considered. Like freedom starts in the mind.
Yeah, but sometimes we think about what do our parents think about it, or what does the neighbor think about our car, or my house should be bigger than that of my sister. All these kind of, but also, yeah, I'm not good enough, no one listens to me, why should I start this, because I can manage. So we all have this limitations that makes us smaller, and of course some people are better to deal with it. And doubt, of course, doubt is okay, but if you're always in doubt and you never make the step, then hey, you're 75 and your life is passed in a way that you didn't want it to. Yeah, and
It's a scary thought.
yeah, that's a scary thought. And at the end, of course, you can blame other people, but you should also look at yourself. Like, what did you do to try to make the best out of your life? And
Right.
yeah. And another thing I do is if, I don't know if I told it, Free a Girl. That it's an organization we also started in the United States, but we free minor children from sexual exploitation. And since 2008, I'm one of the founders, and now we how do you call it? We freed more than 5,000 girls already.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's really cool.
That is really amazing.
Yeah. Do you hear the sound, or it doesn't?
I hear a little bit. What's going on?
Shall I switch it off, or?
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about Free a Girl. So
yeah, so we work in India, in Brazil, in Laos, because there's so much trafficking, and
there's so much.
I felt so much. Yeah, of course, I've never been raped, luckily, but I was also waiting in my room for someone else to get me out of there, and I also wanted to be reunited with my parents, and I also felt the pain. So when I heard about this story, I thought, yeah, that's where I want to fight for. Sometimes I call myself a freedom fighter, but that's maybe a bit too much.
I think it's true.
Yeah.
So let's shine a little bit of light of awareness on the issue, actually, because I don't think people are nearly aware of it as much as they should be. Can you tell us a little bit about the state of things? As far as so can you tell us a little bit? I just want to make anybody who's watching a bit more aware of the sexual trafficking that happens in the world.
Yeah.
People don't know, they don't want to know. So can you tell us a little bit about
all over the world, women, minor age, but also adult women are really being trafficked most of the time into sexual slavery. And for example, in India alone, it's already 1 million girls every year. And
every year?
Yes, and they have to work in such depressive circumstances, but also doing all kind of things children shouldn't do. Not any woman should do it against their own will, of course. And then Now, in many countries, of course, like in the Netherlands, in the United States, the police and the judges and the government tries to do something about it. But still, even in our countries, it happens. In Holland, it's 3,000 cases per year. In the United States, I'm not sure how many, but also children disappear. They end up in all kind of places you don't want to even talk about. And then, but in India, there's so much cultural prejudice against people working in that situation, that they blame themselves, or they say, yeah, it's only a prostitute, but it's not a prostitute, it's a child that doesn't choose to work there. So we also try to change the way of thinking, and the girls, we have so they work, for example, in hotels or brothels, so we have informants, then together with the police we get them out, we send them to care houses, then we try to reunite them with the family. And we also, some of them, if they want to be, and if they're smart enough, they can be the change makers, because we send them to law school. It's called School for Justice. So they will be the next lawyers, or maybe even the next judges or district attorneys that will fight the impunity, because there's, out of 1 million cases, only 15 ended up to convictions last year. So that's so little. So we have to stand up and change the court system also.
There's a lot.
So that's in short, but this program is really cool, because it's makes the girls the strongest fighters for justice, of course, because they know what's been going on.
It empowers them.
Yeah, they're so proud that they even don't mind to share their stories, because lots of people don't want to share the evil things, of course, from their past. And if they can change their culture from within, that's the strongest, of course. So
if someone wanted to donate to this foundation, where would they go?
It's freeagirlusa.org.
Okay, freeagirl.usa. Okay, usa.org. Awesome. And if someone wanted to get in touch with you, Arjan?
The easiest is my website, of course, but also my email, that's also allowed. And buy the book, of course, the Held Hostage book. If you want to read more about my story and read the details, on Amazon, it's easy to buy. It's Held Hostage by Arjan Erkel. It's spelled Arjan Erkel. I don't know if you write it down.
We'll put it in the comments after this, definitely.
And of course, if you want to, my goal is now to make the move also to the USA, and maybe to see if there are stages for me.
Definitely.
Inside your church or in your company.
Anybody who wants to hear you speak, because that would be an amazing experience. Definitely.
And I enjoy it also. It's also, of course, in the beginning I was quite scary to stand on the stage and start sharing a story, but now I really enjoy it, and I hope I can. Of course, not everyone is inspired, but I want to be a change for at least some of the people.
So if you had to give like a parting word, something you want people to take away with them, what would you say?
No, you only have one life, and really do your utmost best to make the best out of it, and not only by yourself and for yourself, help other people, but also ask help from other people, and then you can do so much more than you ever thought about and ever dreamt about, and your life will really be more successful and more prosperous.
This has been a wonderful interview. Thank you so much, Arjan. It's been such a pleasure and such an honor to have you here. And we'll get all that information in the comments after this.
Yes.
And hopefully, maybe we can stay in touch.
Yeah, definitely. And then when everything opens up again, we'll even meet in the
That would be great. I'll find some engagements for you here in Boston.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Now, thanks for your time and your interview.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, cool.
All right. Takes me a little